Welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. This is part 4 of Trumpeter's German 2cm self-propelling gun. Scale is 1 to 35. In part 3 I concentrated on the winch system and other little bits and pieces added to the frame. So in this part I'm carrying on with the framework, predominantly working on the suspension leaves and springs and the axles for the wheels. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To start off with, I'm painting some things on the spray here, and I'm using Aqua 79 Greyish Blue. This will be the main colour for these parts. And there are a series of air canisters which have to be bracketed together with a little bracket. It's quite small to put on, but the location points are quite defined, so fiddly but doable. And the other part is, I think it's some sort of storage box, or it could well be the fuel tank. I'm not 100% sure on what the actual part is, as always. But they are painted in that colour, and they're quite easy to make up. Just basically making up a box and putting two halves together on this. So there was no issues making these units up. Next, I'm making up some suspension leaves, and the main suspension is painted in Tamiya's XF84 dark iron, but all over. The suspension leaves, so all you really have to make up here is some of the location brackets that go onto the main frame once it's attached. So while that's drying, I'm just placing on these canisters. The location points for these are very small. There's not a lot of contact on the frame to the actual part you're fitting. So this does give you a bit of room to manoeuvre and time for everything to settle down. But you do have to make sure of the locations where you placing them, because there's not a lot of room for it to hold on to, but not a big surface area. So there's less room, it's less forgivable, I should say. Same with the suspension springs. They're only attached by a tiny location point. I'm not sure whether they're meant to move or not. There is a little bit that says don't cement, but I really can't see the reason for that. I suppose they're meant to move slightly. The most important aspect of the suspension leaves is one set point up and the other set point down. Now this is just for the way the wheels are going to be placed on, I think. But I thought that was quite interesting. That one set goes up, one set comes down, but you have to get them in the right order. I mean, I know that goes without saying, but the wheels wouldn't sit properly if you got it the wrong way around. I'm using Revel Aquacolor 91 steel here, and this is on the engine, and I'm just highlighting certain points on the engine just to give it a little bit of depth and something to stand out really. So the fan blades, I'm painting them in the steel colour. Not exactly sure whether they should have this colour or not, but it just defines the engine a little bit. And once that's done, I can mount it. Now the engine mounts is 4 little brackets that I've already placed on the frame, which I done earlier, and that gets connected into the main drive shaft, then sits in its cradle as such. Next, I'm making up the axles for the wheels. Well, the end point of the axles where the wheels are going to be placed on, and I'm painting them on with Revel Aquacolor 09 Anthracite. These, like the suspension springs, will go on very small location points. The two larger ones actually get fitted onto the crossbar support beam thing, which obviously spans the frame, and they fit in quite snugly. But like the other ones, the location area and the points for them are very small. It doesn't actually give you a lot of surface area to bond the unit on the frame. Next is the steering column and the steering wheel. There's a couple of little black brackets here that have to be fitted in beforehand. Now this bracket will go onto the main frame, and it sort of goes on at an angle. So if you're building this model, make sure you get the angle done properly. You may have to study it a bit. I did, because it's just the strange way it sits. There's an argument to be made here that you may be better off fitting this after the seat goes in, so that you can achieve the proper angle. The steering wheel section, there's a little bracket has to be placed on that as well. Just the tiniest amounts of cement is all that's needed, but it goes onto the shaft before you place on the steering wheel. The location point for that is nice. It's deep enough to hold it so that you don't have to keep a hold of the part for a long time until it sets. Once it's in, that's it. And when it was all dried, I was able to then attach it to the frame at its angle. Now, all cards on the table here, I had to reposition this a couple of times while I was building it. So, as I said, there's an argument to be made. It may be easier to position once everything is there. So the inner car part and the seat, so on. It is quite a tricky part to fit. And now it's time to fit the wheel connectors or the axle things or onto the main connection points. These are very nicely designed. They just push on. You don't really need any cement if you don't want to use any. They are that tight. Obviously, don't push them in too firmly or you'll break them. But there's no issues with them whatsoever. They all fit into the suspension leaves or the main axle parts quite easily. Here I'm making up the unit for part of the steering mechanism. First of all, there's a couple of little brackets I have to make up. These are quite small, and you don't place any cement in them if you want the wheels to turn left or right. Again, it depends on how you want to display your model as a static or free moving parts. You know, there are options there. It's a little bit fiddly doing it without the cement, but it is worth doing so. The rods that you see on the mat there, these get connected to it. There's a longer piece and a shorter piece. The reason why I've got them out ready is because I'm not using the cement. So once one part's in, these just get pushed on, then create the locking bond so they don't come off. I did have one pop off. I just didn't push it in firmly enough. I'm going back to River Aquila 79 Greyish Blue for the wheel hubs. I forgot to paint these earlier on, so I thought I'd better get them done now and give them time to dry before it's time to place the wheels on, of course. Then it's back to the steering mechanism and placing these bars on that I was on about. As I said, the contact points are quite small, but if you push them on the little pins firmly enough, they shouldn't come off. It is very fiddly and tricky to do, but luckily there's only two steering bars that you place on. And once you figure out how they're actually meant to go, it is fairly easy to get everything connected up. But if you persevere with it, it is quite a nice mechanism to work on. It's one of the better performing ones, I have to say. But remove the part where the wheel's connected, you can see the thing in operation. It's really good. So now it's time to paint, and I'm using the 79 Greyish Blue for the main part here, for this brace, and then it's 09 anthracite red colour for the actual bars on the mechanism. As I was painting it, the smaller bar popped off. Like I said, one did come off, but it was easy enough just to push on, and I pushed on more firmly and it wouldn't come off now. Once it's dried out, I'll fit it to the frame. Part of it goes onto one of the suspension leaves and the other part gets connected into the dry section. And this is where I'll end part 4. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date with not only this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit that like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.